to another edition of TM3 Impact. Today I have the one, the only Kito Smith with KS Realty at Keller Williams Heritage. Kito,
Yes,
welcome to TM3 Impact.
Thank you, Tomas. I appreciate it. I've been watching the podcast, and I've seen a lot of individuals that I know, and I said, one day I'm going to make it to that amazing podcast.
That's right.
Here I am.
And listen, this is why I tell people it pays to network, because we ran into each other at the Business Professionals Network.
BPSA.
With Chris Motzenberger. Is that how you say it, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually working me out, Kito. I'll tell you about that another time. But man, he's working me. Now, Kito, we start every podcast the same way.
Okay.
I need to know your San Antonio story. How did you come to live in this amazing city of San Antonio? Tell me that journey. Cliff Note version.
Okay. Cliff Note version. I'm from Michigan, Jackson, Michigan. It's about 45 minutes west of Detroit. And I came home one day, and my wife at the time was like, Kito, yes, I was married for 12 years. She said, Kito, I want to move. And I said, well, what side of town you want to move on, or what city? I just thought we were going to stay in Michigan. And she said, Texas, San Antonio to be exact. And I'm like, what the explicit?
Yeah.
it's in San Antonio.
You never even heard of San Antonio, except for the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, what? And so, I'm a big sports guy, and I'm a heavy Michigan Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
So all I think about is Texas beating the Wolverines. I'm like, I don't want to move there. And I asked her, why would you, would you spin the globe? And that's what came out. And she said, no, this is where the Lord told us that we should be.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you go, okay, we're going to San Antonio.
Yeah, I took a day or two to think about it.
Okay.
And who am I to argue with the Lord?
Yeah,
So
that's tough.
It was divine intervention, I guess. And now we're here. We've no longer married, but we're actually good friends.
Okay.
And I tell her all the time, I appreciate you, sparking that fire under me to come here. I'm living a life here that I would not be able to have.
Okay.
Up north.
Let's talk about that a bit. So you moved to San Antonio, don't know anybody.
Not one person.
You don't know anybody at that point.
Not one.
Wow. Okay. And you get here, were you military at all?
No.
No military.
No.
Okay. So you get here, get a job. What'd you start doing right when you got here? Out of curiosity.
I was working at Judson High School in the ISS room.
Get out of here.
Yeah, the kids drive me crazy. So I left there. And
were you in education? Was that your degree?
Yeah.
Okay, with teacher? Or
well, yeah, I have a degree in education, but I never really
all right.
expounded on. I actually wanted to, do something different. So
okay.
I ended up going to Career Point College in RIP Career Point College.
There you go. There you go.
High school completion program director.
Yeah.
And so basically we would, it was a new program. So I had the program, it was my baby.
Okay.
Because a lot of people would leave high school, they wouldn't get their high school diploma because they didn't pass the STAR test.
Yep.
So, in Michigan, if you don't pass your standardized test, you just don't get a little seal on your diploma.
But you still graduate.
Ah. So I honestly feel like they're setting people back there because it's a standardized test that set the standard for what?
Yeah.
So, they completed everything they needed to complete to graduate.
Yeah.
A lot of people did.
Yep.
So they would come to us, and then we would send their transcripts to Penn Foster.
Okay.
Penn Foster would evaluate their transcript and say, well, they need this class or this class, this class. Some of them be out in a month. Some of them be out in 2 weeks.
And you help them get to their and it's not a GED. At that point, it's a high school diploma. That's awesome.
Because Penn Foster is actually a high school.
Okay.
And so then it was just like, okay, well, you got your diploma. Oh, see you later.
Yeah.
And that was that. And so I started thinking, I was like, maybe we can implement a graduation. And so we implemented a graduation.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. Then we got cap and gowns.
That's
And then
awesome.
parents got to see their kid, and they were crying. And I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And then I went to him. I said, well, the program is up and running, and you said that I would be able to get paid like all the other program directors. And they're like, yeah, well, no, not yet. And I was like, okay, well, see ya.
And it was time.
Yeah, because if you're not going to pay me what I'm worth,
yeah,
and the program is thriving, then there's no sense of staying.
Yeah, that'd be hard. That'd be hard. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. So, let's go back. I want to know, Kito, back in Michigan, growing up, give me that story. What was were you a sports guy? Were you a book guy? Like what was Kito like at right before going into high school? What was Kito?
Oh, right before going into high school, I was living with my mother. I'm the youngest of two boys on my mom's side, and I'm the youngest of, I think, 10, maybe 11.
10.
Maybe 11 on my dad's side.
Wow.
On my father's side. And
Okay.
so when I say youngest on my father's side, I mean youngest, because there's a vast age discrepancy between myself and the oldest person, who actually has passed away.
Okay.
My oldest sister, I couldn't tell you really the age at this time, but I could say that I have a brother that's been married for 46 years and I'm 46.
Yeah.
So, the age discrepancy is very vast. But so I'm with my mom. I don't have much conversation with my father at all. My other
single mom growing up.
Yes.
It's just y'all at that point, right? Because
Yes.
everybody else was out of the house at that point.
Yeah, everybody was out of the house either one way or another.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have been out of the house, but
Yeah.
they were out of the house.
Okay.
The streets is, it caused a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so they were out doing their thing, and so it's just me and my mother and I should say, and I was very much a mama's boy.
Yeah.
She loved bombing me the heck, and I was all for it.
Yeah.
And so, but her thing was she had to work. She worked 2 and 3 jobs just to make sure that we kept a roof over our heads.
Okay.
Minimum wage jobs as much as she can. We never owned a car. Never.
Never owned a car. Your mom never owned a car. Okay.
We didn't have a phone in our home because it's just an accessory. I mean, we did, but at this time, before I was getting into high school, we didn't.
Okay.
It's just the things that we take for granted.
Yep.
And we see everyday things. Even me, sometimes I wake up and I have to snap out of it, like, bro, remember who you are, where you come from, And we all sometimes have to understand where we derive from.
Yep.
So she just worked her butt off to to provide and keep a roof over our heads.
And y'all were close, huh?
Oh, very close, very close. And she put she talked to me so much about her, what her wishes are.
Okay.
When I pass, do this.
Okay.
When I die, do this and do that. I'm like, listen, why? I'm 11, 12, 13 years old. Why are you telling me this stuff?
Yeah.
So by the time age 14 came around, I'm my freshman in the high school. Just finished the freshman year of high school. Summertime came, or right before school started, it was like August 14th. My mom passed away. And so now I have to spring into action all of her wishes that she asked.
How did you find out?
I was there.
You were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a stroke.
Yeah.
So she was arguing with her then boyfriend.
Okay.
And I when you walk in the El Barrio, right? Where you got there's dogs everywhere, random dogs. And so I had this big dog stick that I would walk around with just in case, because we walking everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I went outside, got my stick, because I was pissed off. Like, my mom is yelling and screaming back and forth with this guy. And so she came in my room and she's like, what is this? And give me this stick.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, I'm listening to the soundtrack from the movie Minister Society.
Oh, of course.
And I'm listening to the soundtrack and over and over and over, I'm just getting mad. And she was like, what are you doing? Like, give me this and give me this tape too. She took my tape. No CD, it was a tape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Walkman. Had the Walkman going. Yeah.
She took my tape and then went back into her room and I was just upset. And next day, he comes out like, hey, Kito, like something's wrong with your mother. So I'm like, what? And I go in the room and she's like, just moving her arm, right? And I'm just there like shaking her, calling her and nothing. So at that time, she was in the middle of a stroke. Now comes the problem when we don't have a phone.
Yeah.
Can't call 911.
Right.
So he left. He had a car. He left, went to the payphone, called 911. And then, the ambulance came back and they left.
But there was probably a lot of time that passed.
Exactly. So now there's a lot of stuff with strokes that you can do, like aspirin, different things like that keep you moving forward. But at that time, you don't know. This was 94.
Okay. Yeah, that's the year I graduated from high school.
Yeah. Man, you older than
I'm
me
old, man. Yeah.
So, this was 94. And so we, I had to make the decision to pull the plug.
Wow.
Because they were saying like,
When you're at the hospital?
At the hospital, yeah. Because this was like 3 days later and there was no improvement, no brain movement, no brain waves or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
And you're 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
14 years old. What were some of the wishes that your mom had?
She didn't want nobody looking down on her at her funeral, so she wanted a closed casket. She told me the color she wanted to wear was purple.
Okay.
It's color of royalty.
Yep.
If people don't know, that's the biblical color of royalty.
Yeah.
She didn't want a big crazy funeral. She told me don't put all the money in the ground, meaning but there wasn't a lot of money to put in the ground. But so we buried her and things like that. But and so I didn't. If anything ever happens, she don't want to be a vegetable. So that's why I made the decision to put up.
And she told you all that at 12.
12, 13. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Best memory with mom?
Oh, my mom was a little boisterous. I'm a little bit quieter, right?
Okay.
And people think that I'm like this. I know it's a word for it, but I can't think of the word. But I'm a very introverted extrovert.
Okay, yeah. I get that.
Right. I'm not one that just walk in and be like, hey, everybody, I'm here.
Right.
I don't do that. I'm just real reserved.
But when you're with your people, like when you're with I get it. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but she was an extrovert, and I remember being up to bat playing baseball, and my mom's behind the backstop and behind the fence, and she's like, remember when you stole your brother's Kool-Aid and he was mad at you and he hit you? Take the anger out on the ball. And so everybody started laughing at me while I'm up the bat. I just knew when she was there. You know what I'm saying?
You could hear her.
I could hear her. I could feel her presence. And even now to this day, like I can feel people's energy, and I think people think that I'm weird when I say that, but you really can feel people's energy, and you can tell when the people have, good in them or bad in them and things like that.
It's a vibration, right? We all vibrate at different frequencies. And I've been talking about this with my son. Mm-hmm. My son is 15 right now. Mm-hmm. And I've been talking a lot about, when you vibrate at a real low frequency, when you're just kind of like, you're just down and that frequency can really bother other people.
It can.
And then if you vibrate real high, like I vibrate at a really high. So
Very high.
My wife is like, why are you so happy? It's 7:00 in the morning. That's why I vibrate. Right. I vibrate at a higher level. And so, but the idea is that you have to understand how that will impact the people around you and how you're, 100%. Okay. So what happened after your mom passed? Like, take me through that. Just kind of like, who'd you go live with? What happened?
So I was, I'm a very, I played basketball. I played football. I ran track. Well, I didn't run track. I didn't want to run track at that time.
Yeah.
But I was a basketball player.
Okay. Point guard?
Yes, point guard.
Okay.
That was my first love.
Yep.
Broke my heart many a times.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been through that. But so basketball and football was my thing.
Okay.
And so I was playing basketball. And football. So a lot of people in the city knew who I was because of athletics. Okay. Right. Even from, grade school up. So I moved in with my dad, and who didn't live. I mean, I remember times that he would drive right past our house and I'd be out dribbling the basketball and I see him coming out, start dribbling all good stuff. He'd right on pass, didn't wave, didn't bend his head, nothing. But his girlfriend lived up the street. So that was that, but I ended up having to move with him. I had no choice. So I moved with him and his wife.
And how many kids did he have at that time? You had other brothers?
They were all older.
They were all grown.
Yeah,
Okay.
So myself and my brother Robert Jr. is my mom and dad.
Okay.
And then my brother Thomas was, older on my mom's side. So it was us three.
Okay.
Right. And then my dad had older kids as well.
Okay.
Other kids that a lot of them I didn't even meet, and one of them I still haven't met. And,
to this day.
I can't say. Well, no, I haven't met him.
Okay.
Met her.
Yeah.
So we moved in with my dad, and then started getting stuff together. And okay, you're going to be in this room and this, that. Okay, cool.
Same school, or you had to go to a different school? Same school. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
But it was in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
Right. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of drug dealing, a lot of shooting
in that neighborhood. How different was that neighborhood from where you were living before it was mom?
Not much.
Very close or similar? Okay,
yeah, similar
okay.
neighborhoods.
All right.
But it was like the epicenter.
Okay.
Whereas over here was like residuals.
Okay.
Right. And then where I moved to was like the epicenter.
Okay.
Like I remember shootouts like on the corner.
Okay.
So I mean, he did what he could. He never raised any of his kids, and so my brother, who I really didn't know, he said I met him before, but that's up for debate. But he.
So wait. So 14 years you had not met this older brother? Mm-hmm. You had never met him? Mm-mm. Okay.
He started coming around, and I started ingratiating myself to him because he was very wise, very smart. Same dad, different mother. Very smart. Handled himself well. He carried himself with a lot of class and dignity, and I was drawn to that because I never wanted to be like everybody else. Yeah. So I didn't drink. To this day, I've never been high a day in my life. Yeah. I didn't drink until I was 36. Okay. And then now I stopped at 45. Okay. I woke up one morning, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. So
it's powerful.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be like everybody else because I seen what my mom went through, and she struggled with alcohol and drugs and things like that. It is what it is. Yeah. But I just didn't want that for my life. Yeah. So and he didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do any of that.
Your older brother. Okay.
Brother. He was married, he had 2 kids, and I said, man, you sure this is not my dad?
Yeah.
So he came around and he started bringing me around, and their family accepted me. The 2 boys, I have a nephew who's more like my brother. I was raised with him. We're the same age. Yeah. And then I have one Ryan that's a little bit younger, a couple years younger. But eventually, we went on a trip to New York. And
okay.
So I never.
Were you already living with him at this point? No. Oh, you weren't. Okay.
No. So I never been outside of Michigan. And when I say outside of Michigan, I mean the furthest I've been. Like I said, we're about 45 minutes west of Detroit, so the furthest I've been was in Detroit.
At the age of 14, you had never left probably a 50-mile radius?
50-mile radius is correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
But I mean, you're watching the news, so you know about other cities, you know about other sports, you know about everything, but you never traveled, never going to see family anywhere outside of that.
It wasn't in the budget.
Okay, got it.
So we so he took us to New York, and we flew in. It was my first time on a plane, so I was amazed. And we landed, and we was in the airport, and this dude was standing there, with his name. Yeah. I was like, hey, that guy got your name, and it's like, oh yeah, come on. So we go and we get in a limousine.
Oh,
and take us from the airport from LaGuardia down to the Manhattan. Okay. And it was a Crown Plaza hotel, but it was 46 floors. I'm like,
goodness. What the? I bet New York, you were just like, yeah, because New York compared to Detroit has to look totally different.
Correct.
Totally different.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, at the end of the day, now when I'm older, a city is a city. Yeah. The same things go on in every city. Yeah. Right. But then I'm like, whoa. What's going on? We're riding in the limo. We're doing this. I'm like, man.
And this is all with your older brother. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Did he live in Manhattan at the time?
No, he's they take trips.
They were just doing a family trip, and you're on the. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
So and like I said, they ingratiated me and they accepted me into the family as if I was one of them.
What age were you compared to your brothers with your brother's kids? What age difference?
So he has one kid, Chris, that's the same age as myself.
Oh, y'all were pretty much the same age.
Same age.
Same grade?
Same grade.
Oh my goodness.
He just went to the Catholic school.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. He was able to afford to go to the Catholic school. I went to the public school.
Okay, got it.
I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Never knew him.
But y'all lived in the same area?
Yeah.
In the same city?
Yes.
In Detroit, outside of Detroit?
In Jackson.
In Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah. Had
no clue. Same age, same grade, and went to the other school. Okay, keep going. Wow. And what was the youngest?
Crazy thing is, we played against each other in sports.
And never knew it.
Never knew it.
And your brother didn't know? Did he know? You think he knew that was you?
Yes.
He probably knew.
Yes, but I don't,
But that wasn't his mom.
No.
Yeah, because your mom is not here. Okay, got it. Keep going.
Disrupting things and, and overstepping and things like that. But once my mom passed away, he said, okay, no, the heck with this. Yeah. I'm not going to let him be raised by him.
Yeah, because he knew his dad. Y'all had the same dad.
He knew the writing was on the wall for
me. Yeah.
Yeah, because so statistically, I'm supposed to be dead or in jail or selling drugs or strung out because that's what happens. Yeah. Or just settled in and working the 9 to 5 and happy. Yeah. Or happy-ish, right? Yeah. And so statistically, that's what my life was supposed to be. But with him and in my mindset of not allowing statistics to dictate my life, I was able to be a different person. Yeah. So, after the trip from New York, we came back, and then, a week later, he was like, look, I talked to, Michelle, was his wife at the time, and and the boys, and they all think that it would be okay if you moved in, and we're gonna let you move into the basement. They had a finished basement. It's a nice setup.
Wow.
And so he lived on the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't like right in the city. He lived in the outskirts of town, probably like 10 miles out.
Okay.
Right. And so now I'm moving from this side of the tracks to this side of the tracks.
Okay.
Right. And so now I have all of this education in this side of the tracks, and now I'm being educated on this side of the tracks.
Okay.
Hence the polished Kito that you see now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I kind of dabble over here, but for the most part, I try to stay on this side of the tracks.
Yeah. And what was that first day of school? Because you went to the same school or no? You went to are you going to a private school now?
I went to the same school. We didn't
with him.
And actually, in all actuality, his son wanted to leave the private school and
go with you.
Go with me.
Did y'all end up going together?
Yes.
And playing sports together?
Well, he didn't. He wasn't as
athletic. Okay. Yeah.
So, yep. And so, but that was my guy.
Wow.
That's still my guy. You know.
Where's he live right now?
Florida.
In Florida. Mm-hmm. What's his name?
Chris.
And your brother that raised you is Robert? Edward. Mm-hmm. Edward. And where does he live?
In Michigan.
He's still living in Jackson, Michigan. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like to me when I think about this. Edward's had a huge impact on your life.
Oh, immense impact.
I mean, he basically raised you from the age of 14 to when did you finally move out of his roof?
19.
So you were 5 years you were living under his roof with him. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest thing that you learned while living with your brother Edward?
This is my first week in his house.
Okay.
Right? And my friend drove out and to pick me up. And so I'm like, oh yeah, he's coming over. We about to go play basketball. He said, oh yeah?
Yeah.
He said, did you do your homework? I said, no, I don't have any homework. He said, well, you better go make some because you ain't going nowhere. This is a weeknight and you got school the next morning. So you need to go back over there and read a book or something.
Yeah.
I looked at him like, are you serious? Read a book? Yeah. But what's crazy is I was that year being back and forth, not being settled, right? I was on the varsity basketball team in 10th grade.
Okay.
And we played in the regional finals, and we ended up losing, but I wasn't playing because of grades.
Oh,
right?
Snap.
Yeah, and so he was like, that's never going to happen to you again. And we're going to make sure that you got everything on point and you're doing the things that you're supposed to do. We lost by 4 points. I was averaging 8 points as a sophomore. So that was, I put that blame on me.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's a life lesson. Like
that's a massive one.
Yeah. Like one of them is, why are you leaving the house on a weekday at 6 o'clock going to play basketball when you talking about you don't have any homework? Well, make some homework.
Yeah.
Or figure something.
And if you in a similar situation, mom would have probably been at work. It would have just been a normal.
I would have just walked
every day. You'd have walked out the house. So this was putting discipline in your life.
Exactly. And if I was with my dad, he would be sleeping in a chair, and I just walk past him and go out.
It wouldn't have mattered. Yeah. So this was putting discipline in your mind. What were some of the other life lessons that he taught you that you still kind of put in place today, Edward?
He told me one day, I said, I'm bored. He said, bored people, they don't end up dead. You don't die from boredom.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, broke people don't leave the house.
And broke people don't leave the house.
Broke people don't leave the house.
I love it. Bored people don't die, and broke people don't leave the house. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Oh man, he had some isms, and he.
Oh, I love
and the
that.
thing about it is, he said it in a manner in which he didn't raise his voice. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. But you felt the sincerity and the seriousness of what he was saying.
So was he raised by his dad?
No, heck no.
Okay, so he's raised by his mom.
Correct.
So what was it in Edward's life? Did he go get a degree? What did he do? Like, what was it that set him apart? To live the life that he lived, then to be able to raise you.
So he went to, he played sports as well.
Okay.
So he went to school with Tony Dungy.
Okay. Yep.
Tony Dungy coached the Colts.
Yep.
And
Super Bowl champ. But anyone they won a Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yep. And so Tony Dungy went to Parkside.
Okay.
And my brother went to Parkside. And then Tony Dungy went on to play at Minnesota and then go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother played on the same football team as him. And he just never was like and the difference is his mom was white and my dad was black. My mom was obviously black, and and so, but he was raised around different people, right? Different values. So my mom's family is all from Mississippi.
Okay,
I have cousins and things like that I know, but there's no real male figure at all.
Zero. Okay.
So to this day, I don't truly. I mean, like. It's a mess, but from my understanding, my mom was adopted by her dad and his wife, but my mom's mom, get it? So my mom's mom, so it's a mess, right? But that's down in Mississippi way back in the day. So I never met any of them.
None of her side of the family.
Any side
to this day.
Well, I know. I got a aunt that passed away, and I have cousins and things like that in Michigan that I know, that I love and ingratiate myself with. Yeah. But as far as like any other extended family from my mom's side, I have no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. Never had a family reunion, never any of that. And on my dad's side, I've only had one family reunion ever in my life.
Okay. So obviously values he had, and what did he do? What did he do for a living?
So he worked as a maintenance supervisor at Max Steel, which is Gradeau, which is actually a nationally known steel company, steel mill. So he was a supervisor of the maintenance and things of that nature. So he was basically like, people would come to them all the time in the community, talk to them about getting jobs when we go to the airport, but the barber shop and things like that. Yeah. So he's well known, well respected and things.
Okay, like in the community. Got it. Okay, so now you graduate. I mean, obviously you probably had aspirations for college ball, whatever. What ended up happening after graduation?
So I had opportunities to go play at different colleges and things like that. I ended up going to work
instead.
Yeah, I ended up working.
This happens to a lot of kids, though.
So it's crazy. I ended up working at Jackson Ford. I was selling cars.
You were selling cars right out of high school?
Right out of high school, selling cars.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I was selling cars, and I just went there, put on a shirt and tie, and I had a little studio apartment.
So you had moved out of your brother's place. Okay. Yep.
So I had a kitchen and living room. With pull out bed, and I was living. I went to he was like, you need to go up, you need to go find a job. You need to go to 5 places a day. Yeah. Before lunch, and then 5 after lunch. Yeah. If you want to find a job. So you need to get that.
Don't come home.
Don't come home without it. Yeah. So I would go.
Did you have a car at this point?
Yeah.
You were able to get a car?
Yep.
Okay.
So I was able to get a car. My brother took me, and we got a car in my name.
Wow.
I got a loan and everything in my name. It was a Pontiac 6000.
Oh, yes.
A goo.
Oh, yes.
So I'll drive it around, doing that. I ended up getting a job at the Ford dealership. Okay. They just like my personality, I guess. Yeah. And so I worked there, and the crazy story with that is I had one of the owners' name was Cecil Pryor. Okay. So Cecil is from Corpus Christi, and he played football. Okay. And he played football at the University of Michigan, and ended up playing football at the Green Bay Packers. They had like one face mask on. So Cecil used to always call me in his office, and they'd be like, they give you crap on the sales floor. Yeah. Kito, your dad's calling you because he's a black guy. Yeah. Your dad's calling you. Go up there and see what he wants. Yeah. So I go up there one day. He said, take this car to Ann Arbor, get one of the guys to follow you and come back. I said, okay. Yeah. He said, drop it off at this address. Of course, we don't, So I go up to Ann Arbor, which was 30 minutes away. Okay. And I go to Ann Arbor, and I go to the address, and I ring the doorbell. I'm looking down, you're young, and you see this white carpet. She opened the door, white carpet, big old rock on her hand. So I go into the house, and I was like, you want me to take my shoes off? She's like, no, come in, sit down. He'll be down in a second. Yeah. So I'm sitting down in the living room, waiting, and then next thing you know, Bo Schembechler, the old Michigan football coach.
What?
Yeah, he comes out and he sits down to talk to me for about 45 minutes.
And you were a massive Michigan fan at this point. Yeah.
So I'm sitting in his living room.
Okay.
And I'm just having a conversation with, I don't have no phone to do selfies.
Oh, that's
so
crazy.
I'm just talking to Mo Simbecker, and I go back and he's laughing like, "How'd you like that?" I said, "Okay, you got me.
That's
Next time,
cool.
let me have a camera or something,
Yeah.
But those are the different things that I've been able.
How long were you working there?
I'd say a year.
Year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then I just said I'm gonna go to school.
Okay.
And then I went to a school called Spring Arbor University. It's an AIA.
Yeah.
Methodist, I guess you would say.
Did you play sports?
Methodist.
Did you play any
I ended up
sports?
walking on the basketball team.
Okay.
And then I played. So I started a couple games and that, and then I ran track as well.
Okay.
I got varsity awards for basketball, and I got National Christian College All-American in track.
Yeah.
And so I did 2 years of basketball, 1 year of track. I did 1 year of track in high school, got all state. 1 year of track in college, and got
what? That's crazy.
And then I was just like, okay. And then I had a daughter.
Okay.
And so when Katie came along, I was like, okay, I gotta.
You 20? How old were you at this point?
20.
20 years old. Okay. Got it. Got it.
So I had my daughter, and that ended my sports career. I had to go to work.
It's time to work.
It's time to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to work.
So at what point did you get married? What age did you get married?
That
was all in Michigan.
2007.
2007. Okay. You got and then your daughter lives where? Where does she live now?
She lives in New Braunfels.
In New Braunfels. She's here.
So crazy story.
Yeah.
When my daughter was 6, her mother passed away. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I always ask God why me?
Yeah.
Why you take my mother and everybody else has moms?
Yeah.
And things like that. And that was the reason why. Because he had me ready for what's coming for my daughter.
Okay.
Every hair is counted.
Yeah, he knows.
Measured.
Yep.
Right? He knows. And so I wouldn't have been able to handle that situation if I wasn't prepped for the situation.
Yeah.
So her mom died of cancer.
Okay.
And
how old was she when
she She was 28.
Okay. Okay. She was older. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still hard. That can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your age is.
She was, about. Yeah, about 20.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's tough. Now, so
25.
you 25. So you get to this point where you're like, okay, you're married, and now it's time to come to San Antonio. Now I'm really curious, like, what was it about this city that you knew, like, I'm a put roots here in this city? What was it about this city that you were ready to put roots here?
I had nothing. I didn't know anything about the city at all.
Okay.
This is where she wanted to move, and this is where she said the Lord told her that we should be.
Yeah.
So I said, okay.
Yeah.
If that's what he said, then I'm going to be, I spoke to my pastor, Pastor Hines.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, Kito, you got, do what you got to do, bro.
Did she know anybody here? Did your wife, your ex?
She knew one person.
She knew one person that was in the San Antonio area.
Yep.
Yeah. And what year was it y'all came here? Was it, what'd you say, 2000 what?
12?
2012 that y'all moved here.
12, 13,
Got it.
Yeah.
So I started Luxury Home Magazine in 2011. In 2012, the real estate market was, wasn't it? Obviously, it's nothing like it is today. But you didn't get. So, what point did you decide I'm going into real estate?
Well, I used to go to the barbershop all the time, and we just, obviously we talking, kicking it, doing the barbershop thing, how that goes.
Yeah.
And this guy Ruben, he was from Detroit, and Ruben was a new home salesperson for D.R. Horton.
Oh,
and
okay.
Ruben would say, Kito, you need to get into real estate, bro. You need to get into real estate. Your personality, the way you are, you would do great. And I said, okay, Ruben, okay. So finally, I talked to my wife at the time, and I said, hey, I know you're working and all. I'm just gonna do this. So at this point, I was working at Everest. So I left Career Point, went to Everest. So I'm like, I hate this job. I'm sitting in this dang cubicle. This is not me.
Yeah.
So I'm like taking my classes online.
Yeah.
So I did my classes online at work.
Okay.
And went and took the test, and then the next day I was like, I'm done.
You walked out.
I left out, and then I told.
What year was this?
2000. So I've been in real estate, 7 years? So 7 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she said, okay. So I, and I went to Noble Group with Donovan Jackson.
Yeah.
And because Donnie was like, you know, you'd be a great realtor. And I
Yeah.
said, all right, cool. So I went there. First rental lead I got, I flipped him into a purchase.
Yeah.
And it was off and running.
And that was it. You were ready.
there.
Now, how long did it take to get your first deal?
1 month.
1 month, which is rare for everybody out there. If you think you can get in real estate and sell anything in a month, it's. I'm reminded when anybody starts real estate. I had Josh Altman on this podcast. You know, $1 Million Listing, Josh Altman. Yeah. So he was on the podcast. I think it took Josh Altman, I think he said 6 months before he ever sold anything.
Yeah. I know,
somewhere around there.
Craig told me, he told me it took a year.
It took a year. Craig's, and he was sitting on this podcast too. Craig told me that story, you know?
So I was blessed. To get that done. You know, obviously we all would want to do more business.
Yes.
But I'm happy, you know, I'm blessed to be selling, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10 million in real estate, you know.
Yeah.
What? From there to here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I never look at like other real estate agents as competition. I look at them as colleagues.
Yep.
You know, and we have heavy hitters in our office.
Yes, you do.
I want to learn from them, you know.
That's a smart thing.
Yeah.
And then so going back to you know, thinking about you from where you grew up to now you're living in San Antonio, Texas, right? And you look back on it, what do you think were some of the things that have helped you like overachieve, overcome, and to get you to this point where you're at in your real estate career? What do you think those keys were with Mom and with Edward?
So in my real estate career, I'm gonna tell you this, and it's gonna sound crazy. Let me straighten this up here. So there's a lot of drug dealing.
Yeah.
A lot of drug dealing, and a lot of those drug dealers could be, you know, run a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
Right. They just never had the opportunity. Right.
Yeah.
And so I never sold drugs. I never done drugs. I never did any of that sort. But growing up in the areas, you see how people move. You see what people do. You see the things they implement. It's the same thing in real estate. You have a product that you're trying to sell. Yeah. Right. And so you without doing the illegal stuff, you just implement the things that they were doing, and it works. Yeah. That's just like this person could have run a Fortune 500 company if they had the opportunity. Yeah. This person could build a real estate empire if they had the opportunity. Yeah. Or if they put their mind to it. Put their mind to it, right? Yep. So, you take some of the things that you've seen from here and there and you implement that into your day-to-day life in real estate. One is getting up every day and thinking about real estate. It's real estate. We're thinking about real estate, We're thinking about how can you be successful today. Yeah. Right. And one thing that stuck to my mind that you said, and I got this off your podcast, you asked the person, what's your MMA? Yeah. What's your money-making activity? Money-making activities. For the day. Yeah. Yeah. You see, you get nuggets from everywhere. Yeah. And I ask my agents that all the time, what's your MMA? Huh? Yeah. What's your money-making activity for the day? What are you going to do to help yourself make money today? That's big. I wake up every single day thinking, how am I going to be successful today? Yep. What am I going to do to put somebody into a home? Yep. That's powerful. Now, so been an agent 7 years. Let's step back for a minute. You got somebody that says, hey Kito, I think I want to be in real estate. Mm-hmm. What do you tell them? I tell them that it's not easy. And 100%. I say you got to start with that. I got to start with it's not. Listen, it's not. It's what so you true. See on Netflix. No, it's not what you see on Netflix at all. Yeah, and we have a generation coming up now that see that and they feel as if it's that. Right? Yeah. The selling Manhattan, like Ryan Serhant. Yeah. Nope. Selling Sunset. Nope. Those things. It's not that. No. But what it is work. Constant hustles, constant grind, ever evolving, changing yourself, being a chameleon, learning, being the market expert. If somebody asks me for a new build right now, they tell me their price point, I know exactly where to take them. That's good. Mm-hmm. See, that's a skill set that a lot of people don't think about. Mm-hmm. Is just let me be an expert at something. Mm-hmm. Let me figure out what it's going to be. Right. And if it's new construction, that sounds like that's one of your yeah, it's one of my jams. That's one of your skill sets of new construction. How many new construction homes do you think you sell a year? probably 20.
20
18,
new construction.
18, 20.
Wow. So for all the agents out there, if you're like, okay, how has Kito had the success that he's had? He has put in the work to know the neighborhoods.
Relationships.
And then building a relationship with those builders too. You got to build those relationships with those builders.
Right.
You know?
And I'm a creature of habit, so I will go back to the same person over and over and over and over and over.
With the builder or with the builder? Yeah. Oh, and taking people back to that same builder.
Yeah.
So what right now, I wanna be at 500, right? What neighborhood are you taking me? I want to be at 550, between 550 and 600.
Well, I do know, it depends on the side of town, but I do know right now Crossvine is Crossvine on 1518 and Church.
Okay.
Right by I-10.
Okay.
They have that price point. They have David Weekley. They have a couple other builders, but one they bringing in right now is Highland.
Highland's going to go out there?
And they're actually building a product in that price point, and it's a brand new product that they haven't put in the house yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if Highlands is going to put a 500, it'll be nice.
Yeah, from what I understand, I've been talking to Ivy.
Yeah.
She's one of the top salespeople there, and she said that she's seen the product. She said it's absolutely stunning.
It'll be stunning. Yeah, that's really good. Now, if I want to be in Bernie, do you know Bernie as well? What new construction area would you say for Bernie?
That's the problem with Bernie is so much.
There's a lot. There's a lot of options.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a lot of options.
600,000.
600,000. I would probably. There is a Perry home community right there off of I-10 in the back of. It starts with an F. I can't think of it right now. It starts with an F. I have to get back to you.
Yeah. So,
it starts with an F.
But you know the area, you know that location, and that's going to be in the 500-600.
Yep. And then Alamo Ranch. I mean, I try to stay away from it. It's so crowded over there right now. But
let me say that became the other Stone Oak. Alamo Ranch became the other Stone Oak in that area. You know, what do you think if you were to say, okay, hey, here are the two skill sets that have helped me to get to where I am today. What are those two skill sets?
Building relationships.
Okay. Number two,
being in the know. Okay. Knowing what's going on, knowing what's changing, what's coming, and what's going.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely, and I will say, I when people ask about training, the one thing about Keller Williams is they train, and they make sure that their agents are very well trained, with from bold to what's the first one, ignite, ignite. You know what I mean? And you listen. Training is where it's at for the agents that are coming up. If you think you're going to come into this and you're not going to train, it's not going to go well.
I mean, let's look at look at it in your aspect. How many times have you been to our office in the last 5 months?
Me?
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4. Yeah. Yep. 3 or 4 times, coming out to help. Did a class, a luxury report. I did that class not too long ago. So let's step out. Like, let's talk about fitness, because I know you're a fitness guy.
Yes.
So tell me about, what do you think fitness means to you in terms of your building what you do with your real estate business and just your overall financial health?
It's a lifestyle, right? And fitness is definitely a lifestyle. It's not, something that you don't want to do. Right. So every morning when I wake up, I go to the gym. If I don't do that, I feel like my day is thrown off. Right. And so you have a mindset, right, in your schedule. So if it's not in your schedule, it don't exist. Right. So it's in my schedule to go to the gym at this time. Wake up, check my emails and my text messages, go to the gym, come home, go to the office, go do your showings, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's in my calendar. And so Mia actually is helping me keep my calendar even better, because you're only as good as your health. And so she's keeping me in line.
You have an assistant, Amia? Yeah.
Mia's keeping me in line with that.
That's good.
But health is wealth.
Yeah.
Right? And so you only have one you. And so I learned a long time ago to take care of your body. And then also as a part of my branding, right? People know me as a person that's going to be fit, a person that's going to, his suits are going to fit right, his shirts are going to fit right. He's going to walk in with his head held high, confident. If I wasn't healthy and happy, then I wouldn't be confident enough to walk in with my head held high. I don't feel like I need to walk in, and it may sound arrogant, but I don't need to go in and be the loudest person in the room to command attention.
No.
You don't have to do that. You just walk in with the confidence and the air aside of caution of who you are.
Yeah.
and be the best person that you can be. And if people don't see you, then they don't see you. That's their fault.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What would you say? I don't know if you've been to St. Philip's College here in east side of San Antonio. There's a ministry over there, the Young Life, that I've gotten a chance to engage with Eric. In fact, he was on the this podcast. So he leads basically a church organization right there next to St. Philip's College. And they actually have their own building. Like, shout out to Eric. Like, this is such an amazing opportunity. But what do you say to kids that may be listening to this, that maybe they've never left the San Antonio area? They've never left the 50-mile radius, right? They've never had that opportunity. What would you, if you were able to go talk to Young Life with Eric, which would be a great connection, let me tell you, what would you want to say to the kids if you had an opportunity to share with them, like, hey, this is my journey. Let me share. This is what I want. Would want you to know about where you're at and where you could be.
Open your horizons and dare to be great. Right? You can't, if you don't know, you will never find out. If you don't go out and push yourself, right? And step out on faith, leap out on faith. That's the biggest thing. Leap out on faith. If I didn't leap out on faith, I could have said, okay, well, you go. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here.
Oh, when you moved to San Antonio?
Yeah. I took a leap, I took a leap out on faith. And here I am now. I'm a living testimony. A lot of people think that I'm just, always been this person. And I've been through so much. That was the tip of the iceberg. I've been through so much in my life that some days I wake up and I just thank God. Yeah. Because there's a song, He Didn't Have to Let Me Live, right? I mean, I was in an accident on 281. A drunk driver ran into the back of me going about 120. I was going 70, flipped my car on impact. I'm sliding down 281 on the roof, spinning. Yeah. And I swear to you, people think, I swear to you, in the haste of praying while I'm spinning, I seen my mom's face. And then I look up and I see sparks flying from the car spinning, right? Yeah. No scratch.
Wow.
Not one scratch.
Wow.
So it was divine intervention, I'm sure. But to say, there's a calling on my life. And so I have to continue to try to move forward to tap into that. And everybody has a calling for their life. You just have to want to tap into it. And so these young individuals need to look at life not as, this is the streets and this is what we're used to. You don't have to be a statistic. That's the message. You do not have to be a statistic.
And what do you think is the biggest reason why you weren't a statistic, right? Like, what was it? It sounds like you were very strong-willed and you knew what you wanted. But what do you think was the one thing that kept you like, I'm not gonna go and be that way. I'm not gonna live like maybe like your father, or maybe some other situations, or other brothers or sisters. What was the one thing that just kept you, I think, focused?
There were things that led up to it, right? Being in the park, young, playing basketball, park gets shot up. You hiding, and they're shooting, and they're just shooting. Yeah. And there's like 200 people at the park, and they don't know who they're going to hit. Yeah. Right. And I'm on the ground screaming, everybody screaming, that to being held at gunpoint in our house. And to my mom passing away, to my brother coming into my life. So I didn't want to be that person that trying to take somebody's life over a fight. I didn't want to be that person that's, trying to rob someone's house and holding them at gunpoint while you're interrogating the adult, right? And I don't want to be that person that struggled all the way through life, and then now you're arguing with a significant other and you don't make it out of that. I didn't want to be any of those people. Yeah. But my brother, who raised me, I could see myself being that man. Yeah. I could see myself being a father like him, or a respected individual like him. And so that made me want to continue to be a better me. So there's no like, I do not crack to peer pressure.
Yeah.
If you want me to do something and it's going to help me, yes. But if it's going to be a hindrance to me or what I believe in, there's no way in the world you can get me to do it.
Yeah. That's a strong will. How does faith play into all of this? Did you go to church with mom growing up? How does faith play a role even with your brother? Did you go to church in high school?
So what's crazy is my brother was Catholic.
Okay.
Right. And so I went to Catholic church a couple of times here and there with him, but he didn't make me do that. But I did drive to the church
that you grew up in.
I grew up in. Well, not the one that I grew up in, the one that I ended up ingratiating myself.
Okay.
Pastor Hines, he was definitely a mentor for a lot of us young individuals. Like there's so many different things that he's done for. I mean, there's one time he just came over and said, "Hey, what's your college bill looking like?" Well, I mean, I owe some money, but okay, let's go. Wrote a check and paid off like $2,000 on my college bill. And just different things like that. He did for community. He would give his very, very last for us. And he definitely, he's there now. I still get up in the morning sometimes. After it's crazy,
you can watch it?
Yeah, I would go to church because our church is like, I go to Agape Christian Church. So I go there from 9:30 to 11. Yeah. And then when I'm driving, he pops up on Facebook, so I just watch that too.
That's
awesome. So I went to church all the way throughout. And, when you're younger, it's seeping into you, but you don't really understand what's seeping into you until it hits you. And so now it all has like pouring out of me. Yeah. Making decisions, like my whole thought process of a lot of things have changed. Yeah. And if someone says, "Kito, you seem different," because I am. Yeah. Because we always got to evolve though.
100%. And that evolution takes time, right? It takes time, and it takes a lot of self-work too. You gotta be self-aware. Yes. And you mentioned something to me the other night. You said, "Listen, I've been sober for now, it was like 400 something days, and just you haven't been drinking." And so, what was the awareness where you said, "Yeah, this ain't working for me"?
I had a night. I had a night, and I was gonna. It was a little scuffle, a little kerfuffle I was into. And I woke up the next morning, and I still was a little, woozy and things like that. I really don't know how I got home. I mean, I know how I got home. I drove home. And I'm thinking like, man, I could have hurt someone. I could have hurt myself. I could have been in jail. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "You're better than this." And at that point, I was like, I'm not drinking no more. So I went to watch a Michigan game with my friends. And they're like, "I don't feel good." And they're like, "Man, you just need to get another drink in you, it'll make you feel better." It's what they say.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "No, I'm going to drink this pop." Yeah. Yes, I said pop. I'm from the north.
It's okay.
I drink pop and I drink water. Yeah. And then after that, I just decided I'm not drinking anymore. And I know people say I'm not drinking no more, and then they do it again. Yeah. So they were like, yeah. And then it was 20 days. And then it was 40. Then it was 50. Then it was 100. And then it was 200. And they're like, "Oh, you serious?" Yes. Yeah. While me doing this, I don't really talk about it, but there's been so many people that have reached out to me and said, "You inspire me," and I have stopped drinking. Yeah.
Well, did you notice the benefits right away?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the benefits?
My face slimmed down.
Yeah.
Your face slimmed down.
Yep.
I had a little bit more energy. Yeah. I felt like my workouts wasn't going in vain. Yeah. Right. Because you're not getting the full pump out of your workout with the alcohol in your system daily and drinking, and also I remove myself out of areas that I would be in. And the biggest thing is I gave myself a raise.
Yeah, see, people don't think about that, Kito. People don't think about that. It's an immediate race.
Immediate race.
It's almost immediate.
It's crazy how much money is spent on alcohol. Yeah. It's asinine.
Yeah, when you stop and think about it in a given night, if you had over a 4-hour period or a 5-hour period, if you had 4 drinks, That's almost $100 with a tip. I mean, you're going to spend a lot of money. Yeah. So more energy, better workouts. And this is the other thing that people don't think about because for me, when I don't drink, my sleep is way better. And when you don't drink, then your sleep actually revitalizes your body. You're more refreshed. And so that's another huge benefit, right? Not to mention the money that you save, right? Like obviously. Yeah. But listen, man, I think that self-awareness, obviously it took a moment where something really bad could have happened, right? And listen, this is for any person listen to this. We've all had those moments in the mirror. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the preacher. I don't care if you're the preacher's son. I don't care. You could be the most spiritually gifted. Everybody's had that moment where they've had to look at themselves and go, you're better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like you said that. I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Everybody has had that moment. It could be a disagreement with your spouse and you realize that you let something get under your skin and you look in the mirror. And that's the thing that I think for people that listen to this is that if you don't have these levels of awareness and you don't stop and you don't look at yourself and say then what happens is you just repeat mistake after mistake. Now, there comes a point though, you could repeat a mistake enough. If you have enough nights like that, eventually you will be caught. That DUI will come, right? That person will be hit because you're not, doing what you need to be doing. So, but brother, I commend you for that, and I commend you for sharing that, and keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah,
because it's powerful. No, please.
Self-awareness is the biggest thing. If we're not aware of what we're doing to ourselves and what we're projecting out into the world, the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Oh, yes, sir.
So the things that you're saying and things that you're projecting out into the world, those are things that's gonna, you're asking for those, you're reaping for those things, and so it may come to fruition. So you got to speak life
over people. Yeah. So you're at this point. You're 44, 45, 46. Okay, you're 46 years old, and I'm just curious, I can imagine all the conversations with you and your mom. If you were to have one more conversation, I'm sure you've probably talked to her many a nights, right? But if you were given that one more opportunity to talk to her, to tell her about your life right now, and I'm sure she's very proud of you. What would you want to talk to your mom about?
I would definitely not brag about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I would actually thank her.
Yeah.
For instilling the tools in me to be a better man, right? And she taught me so much within that time frame that by the time my brother got to me, it was just polishing me off.
That's
pause.
Yeah.
Getting things ready to go.
Yeah.
So he was just getting me prepared to be the man that I am, right? So a woman can only teach a young man so much.
Yeah.
Right, about being a man. But she did teach me the chivalry part, the opening the doors, the pulling out chairs, the treating a woman the way they're supposed to be treated, holding yourself high character, high moral values and things like that. And then by the time I got to him, to my brother, he was, okay, make sure you're doing this and make sure you're doing that, make sure you're doing that. So it was just, putting a stamp on it, And so I would definitely thank her for giving me all the tools and attributes that she did, and just pouring herself, her love and support into me, because it made me I'm not a hardened person, right? I'm more compassionate.
And that's because of mama.
Yeah.
Man, dude, I love that, Kito. That thought alone, I don't need to brag about what I've done. I just need to thank her.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I love that, and I can hear that from your heart, and I know that she's proud.
Yeah, I've been
Mama's
hearing
proud
that a lot lately. And it's really, I don't know if you see the smile on face, but it really I almost flash back to that little kid, right? And just excited about making her happy.
Yeah.
I would get a lot of accolades in sports and things like that. And she was proud, but she wasn't able to be there because she had to work.
Yep.
you know. So the times that she did come, I would try to show out, you know.
Yeah.
And so now at these times, like I just look back at that young me, and I try to make sure that I tell my daughter every day that I love her.
Yeah.
It's just a text,
Yeah.
you know. And if I go a day or two without talking to her, and I know people, you know, she's grown, she's 25,
Yeah.
and she's living her life, right? But that's still my only child.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 stepdaughters who I love
Yeah.
with all my heart. But you know, that's my only child, and so she moved here with us, you know.
Yeah.
And I've never been without her.
Yeah.
And I tell her all the time, she's all I really have.
Mm.
So, you know, and I don't want to put and I'm like, I don't know, I'm all you have.
Yeah.
But she has like her grandmother and stuff like that, but they're down in the Virgin Islands where they're from.
Okay.
And so, yeah, but I don't have no dad, I don't have no mom, I don't have no grandparents and different things like that. And I don't have any immediate family in this
In the
area.
city. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're definitely, and she don't have any family in the city. It's just her and I.
Yeah.
So, you know, she lives there, you know, she has her boyfriend and he has family. And so I asked her the other day, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Oh, I'm going to Devin's house. Okay. Because I want you to have that.
You need it. They need to have a place.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can't be selfish and be like, well, I'm going to come cook, so you come over here.
Yep.
And why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why would you take that from her? So I'm going to watch the Lions game and be happy.
Yeah. For sure. So your brother's still alive. Edward's still alive. How old is your brother now?
Ooh, he's 70.
70 years old?
Yeah.
When's the last time you seen him?
Oh, I haven't been back to Michigan since right before COVID. Yeah,
So you haven't seen him since COVID?
but I talk to him.
Y'all talk all the time?
Yeah, we talk all the time.
So I would imagine those talks like that's pops kind of in a way, right? For you,
for
that's
sure.
pops.
Yeah, he's super proud of me.
Yeah.
You know, he's like he go to the barbershop and things. He's like, yeah, I was just at the barbershop and I was telling them, you know, I talked to you and they're like, well, how was Kito doing? And man, you must be so proud of them and you did such a good job with them. He said, well, I tell him I gave Kito a directive and he took that directive and ran with it. He could have took it and left or did his own thing.
Yeah.
So I got to give him just as much credit because he actually took to that directive. But I think that's from like me wanting that structure.
Yep.
I was longing. Every kid wants a structure.
It's very true.
Every kid wants structure.
Yeah.
And it's just about how you go about doing it. This man never raised his voice at me ever.
Wow.
You know, I'm on a cruise. We go on cruises every year. I'm like, dude, what is this? If I don't travel, I'm like, what am I? I'm losing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were in St. Thomas. And we're just
on a cruise?
Yeah. So we're walking down the street in the city, and this cab driver just pulls up and opens the door. Kito! I'm looking like, I'm in high school. I'm like,
Yeah.
who is this dude? Come here, man, come here. I'm like, bro. And I look at my brother, he's laughing because he has to, every time he comes to the island, he calls that same cab driver to come pick him up.
Oh, and he told him to do it.
He told him to do it.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, that would have scared me.
Yeah.
That would have been like, wow.
I was like, the movie Taken wasn't out yet, but
Right. Right. So how many cruises did you go on growing up?
Growing up, I went on 3 cruises.
3 cruises?
Yeah, 3 cruises. We went to New York. We went to Chicago a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been to a lot of the Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to a lot of the islands.
Yeah.
Those cruises, because it was like 5-day cruises.
Yeah, for sure.
5-day cruises. So we went to a lot of islands, and then New York a couple times, Chicago a couple times.
Yeah.
And then it just goes from there. Like, it showed me a whole different side of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and once I moved here, I can be completely honest. I got pulled over for speeding, and the police officer was Hispanic. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, this.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, cool. So then I go to the court and I see like judges and lawyers and everybody. I'm like, man, like I was in complete culture shock.
Yeah.
Because where I'm from, it's black or white.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And there's not as many Hispanics in Michigan.
There was a couple of restaurants, authentic restaurants per se.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of in the upper or over by Lake Michigan, there's cherries and things like that, peaches.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of sharecropping
Okay.
and things like that. But there's no like substantial communities now.
Yeah.
since I've been gone,
It's grown. Okay.
it's grown. It's substantial communities and different things
Okay.
like that. But when I first moved here, it wasn't that as prevalent.
Yeah.
So to see people in the different aspects of life, it was eye opening and helpful.
Yeah.
Because it just marries everything together in my mindset, and I think that we all thrive off of each other.
Yep.
And especially in this real estate community, it's such a melting pot.
Yep.
And I love that I am a part of this community. I'm grateful that I'm a part of this community and have a name.
Yeah.
And people will know who I am. I can walk in and most real estate venues and things like that, and people are gonna know. So one or two people will know me, and
They're
I
gonna
have
know.
that conversation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that. And so what I'm looking to do now is grow and learn more.
Yeah.
Be more prevalent. I just got the nod for a finalist for the PT Top 50.
Let's go.
So I was happy about that. It was shocker because we all had rough years.
Yeah.
Rough years, a lean year last year.
Yeah.
But I try to do what I can do for the community and different things like that. And as we grow forward, we're only as good as our giving.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, Kito, thank you for being on TM3 Impact.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing your story and people getting a chance to hear, how are you the man that you are today?
Yeah, it's scary.
It's a blessing. I mean, it's I've been doing this study on God's sovereignty and the sovereignty of God and it's really interesting because the thing that's come up is this principle. It's called the 50-20 principle, and it's Galatians 50-20, and it's basically Joseph saying what you intended for harm, God intended for good, and because of it, many will be saved. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit there, but the 50-20 principle is just it kind of wraps up God's sovereignty. It's like, look, there's these things that may seem like they're harmful, that may seem like, why would this happen? But God intended it for good. God has a plan for your pain. God has a plan for that and a purpose for that pain to work something out that we don't know because he sees the big story. We're right here. It's like doing a puzzle and he sees the whole thing and he sees the box and he sees it inside and out.
Right.
And we're just like, we can't see all of it. And so, man, just hearing your story, man, I'm so honored to know you, Kito, and to have you as a friend and just to say, listen, keep doing what you're doing. There's a lot of inspiration. There's a lot of people that are really learning from your example and the self-awareness and the journey that you're on with that. So keep doing what you're doing, Kito.
Thank you. Before I get off, I was told earlier this year I really need to get my story out. And I wrestled with it.
Yeah.
Because it's personal, and I don't want people seeing me as some little orphan, some little, just dealing with a bunch of crap, and he's not as polished as he proclaims to be or shows that he is. And I'm a work in progress.
Everybody is.
And so there's nights where I find myself with tears in my eyes just because of things that I've been through in life. And so I say that to say, like, if you're dealing with things. If you have ailments, if you have mental, within the Black community, it's taboo to go get therapy. And I've been there and done that, and you should go and do that.
100%.
If you need it, if you feel like, even if you think you're teetering on the edge of needing that, men, just not even the Black community, but men, we think we're so macho that we don't need it, and we definitely do. So go talk to someone, go find help.
That's good.
Tell your story. It helps. It's therapeutic in itself, and so it was therapeutic for me to get this out today.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys find value in it, and it'd be an inspiration for others. So
100%. And Kito, how do people get a hold of you if they need to work with? They need an agent. How do they get a hold of you?
You can find me on all social platforms, Kito Smith. And one real quick, you asked me a question.
Yeah.
My name Kito. What does it mean?
Yeah.
So my name is Swahili. I found that out. It means precious child.
Kito means precious child. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but I never was able to ask my mom why I got this name. So
interesting.
So that's just.
So you found out later in life. Like, how old were you when you found out?
Yeah, I was like maybe 16, 17. I Googled the name.
Yeah.
You look up name meanings, right?
Did you have a middle name?
Google, but Malik.
Malik.
Yeah.
Kito Malik Smith. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I not Googled, but I looked up name meanings.
Yeah.
It was there. So
Precious child.
Precious child.
Kito.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yep.
Well,
So-
listen, appreciate your story, appreciate what you're doing, and I definitely want to get you connected to Eric
Yes.
over at Young Life, man. It'd be a
Yes.
great opportunity to pour into some amazing kids.
I would love to.
So let's make that happen.
Thank you.
Kito, have a great day.
Appreciate it.
Yes, my man.